to Carousel. I'm your host, Marcelle Soviero, and tonight we're going to hop on the carousel and talk to interesting people about interesting things. Tonight, I'm so happy to have with us Aline Weiller, who is the founder and president of Wordsmith, a company that helps small businesses launch and grow their business. In addition, she is a renowned writer of humorous essays related to parenting and family that have been published in numerous publications online and in print. Welcome, Aline.
Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Absolutely. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about your background and how you yourself became an entrepreneur, and how wonderful now that you help other businesses and women become entrepreneurs. So tell us how you got into this field.
Okay, well, I always had a penchant for writing and became an English major at college and wanted to break into publishing. So I started working at publishing houses in New York City, but in a marketing role, not an editorial role. And it was really a great marriage of my two gifts, which I think are writing and branding. And so I brought those two together and spent 20 years working at various companies, doing the 9-to-5 in that sort of role. So I was essentially in a marketing and sales department, but I was this creative writer in the art department, writing the brochure copy or punching up my boss's memos, that sort of thing. But it was really kind of a perfect combination for me.
Right.
After I had a few kids, I decided to work from home on a freelance basis, and then one day decided, hey, I'm just going to open my own firm.
Was this when the children were older?
After my second child was born, when they were of school age, I thought, now's a great time. I have the flexibility. It's great being my own boss. And I wanted to work locally, and that's what I did. So made it official, hung a shingle, and being a one-woman show entrepreneur, I really champion other women, men who pursue their passions and have their own small businesses as well.
Wonderful. So is your focus specifically on businesses that are new, relatively new businesses?
It has turned out that way. I do public relations and marketing consulting for some established businesses that sometimes want to have a re-grand opening or have a new initiative that they need some help with. But it just so happens that a lot of my clients and people I come across are reinventing themselves. They're having a second career. I have someone who was a lawyer who now makes jewelry. There might be another person who was formerly an architect and now they're opening a bakery because they've always wanted to use their grandmother's recipes. So it's funny that I am in that realm now, but I do work with established companies as well.
So for the audience here who does have that recipe, that family business, that dream, they're ready to approach, and you've done it.
Yes.
What would your advice be?
Really pursue your passion in an organized way. Get your ducks in a row, really talk to a lot of business people, get some great advice, and then you have a conversation with someone like me. Aline, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. It might sound a little silly. I'm not really sure how to focus. How can you help me make it a reality? Really get organized. Have a lawyer, have an accountant. When you start a business plan, of course, be very careful and selective with your branding. Words make a difference. Logos and images make a difference. Taglines, the name of your product and service. All of these things, once you determine who your audience is, make quite a difference. You should trademark things, protect your image, your brand, and then really just have a solid foundation before you go out there. I work with a lot of people who come to me already with kind of a cutesy name or an inside joke or some sort of family tradition that they want to highlight. But if it's not clear to the outside audience, it may not work. So really think things through, get a lot of advice from established business owners, and then start the marketing piece.
So it sounds like what you're saying is do it in a professional manner.
Correct.
Get your ducks in a row in a professional way, and then find someone to help you launch and promote.
That's right. You have to have the basic things going on.
Right.
The company name, possibly a tagline.
Right.
Domain name for your website, an email address that makes sense. the right colors, the right logo and imaging, all of that stuff set before you just get out there and start selling widgets.
And what you're suggesting is that in talking to other people and talking to people like you can sort of garner what are the best colors and what is the best name for my business and things like that.
Because sometimes people are so passionate, they're anxious to get out there, and it's wonderful helping people pursue their dreams. When I have an initial conversation with someone, you can always tell they get this little spark in their eye when they're so excited about, I just want to make children's clothing now. I've been, I'm in marketing for 20 years. So you just have to do it, kind of rein in the emotion of just a tad, and put your business thinking cap on, and then, get things settled before you launch.
To launch out. That sounds reasonable. For you, what was the inspiration and passion behind you not becoming a baker or whatever? You are a communications expert, really.
Yeah, I think early on, really in high school, sophomore year in high school, I think was a turning point. I was in AP English. I wrote a piece that got published in a literary magazine, and I gotta tell you, there's nothing like seeing your name in print. I am a sucker for a good byline. So I really thought, hey, I have sort of a gift here I should use, that I'm a good communicator. I happen to be sort of an outgoing people person as well. I always liked helping plan events and fundraisers and I was on yearbook and those types of things, school newspaper. So whatever I was doing seemed to work. And when I got out of school, again in the work world, I was sort of the front person for events and PR. And I said, I can do this on my own. I did little volunteer gigs here and there for my children's preschool or women's leagues, and they seemed to be successful. So I said, really, just other people said, they kind of inspired me. You should really do this on your own. And I just said, of course, I should. And so I just took the plunge, but again, in an organized fashion. I lined up all my sort of support team and did it in a logical fashion. And I had many years of freelance and many years of marketing behind me.
In your background.
That's right. So then I decided my strengths were really marketing consultation, PR, and copywriting, any kind of words that people need for content.
Right. So it's interesting because you have a serious writing background. You're a well-known writer. And you also have the more extroverted side, if you will, of the whole writing persona. So it's a nice combination to be able to put forth. Do you think your writing skills and people out there who are looking to maybe start their own business, how important is the writing skill behind things?
Yeah, you really need to be a good communicator. It does help. It doesn't come easily and naturally for everyone. So if you are not confident in that area, have, a part-time assistant who might be a great copywriter, or outsource someone, barter with someone, know your skill set. I am no mathlete, maybe I'm not the best person at math, so I have a great bookkeeper, I surround myself with experts in their certain areas. So that's the thing. I would not just go ahead and try to write your whole website if that's not your forte. So being a communicator certainly is vital because you have to market the clear message to your audience.
Well, it also sounds like what you're saying is you have to be able to define your strengths and weaknesses.
That's right.
Play to your strengths. I mean, this is the adage, right? And delegate the weaknesses.
That's right.
That's a big skill to be able to know what you're
not
you have to
step back and really say, what am I good at?
Right.
And what do I need what areas do I need some help in?
And in your experience, some of that bookkeeping, accounting, that piece of the business you found it was best to delegate.
I started out doing it by myself,
right.
and I felt my time was better used doing my client work and doing the writing.
Right.
And I found someone who, who's great at it and who I trust, and now we're just a well-oiled machine.
Right. So surround yourself with good people.
That's right.
Is another tip for those out there.
Good, low-maintenance people who you are on the same wavelength with.
How important is it to have a specific message, almost like a tagline for your business? So I'm a baker and I do X, Y, Z. How important is distilling the message?
I think it's vital because you really don't want any confusion. You want to know who your customers are and find them and reach them. If you just call yourself, for example, I remember a local toy store opened up and it was called Funny Hats. It was a cute toy store. It didn't last very long. I always thought I wanted to offer my services to them. I always thought, wow, I'm sure Funny Hats has some cute little explanation behind it, but it didn't speak to their products and services.
Right.
Funny hat. I thought you were a hat store. Maybe
Right.
have goofy
Party,
hats
maybe
or
a
party
party
store.
store.
So that's just a slight example. But
Right.
I always advise clients either in your company name or your tagline. I allow them to be cutesy or trendy with one. Mm-hmm. One of them has to explain what you do, so the message is clear, so people know when they're emailing you or calling you up that they know what they're going to get. They know it's going to be a gluten-free granola company.
Right.
It's not,
Very specific.
just going to be a basic, natural food store. So,
Right. Well,
the more specific, the better.
no, that makes perfect sense. And one of the things that I know you work with people a lot is titles for their businesses.
Yes.
You are, in this regard, very much a wordsmith.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about how you go about naming companies and helping small business people name their
Well,
companies.
that's funny that you asked. I just had a lunch meeting yesterday with someone who has their own jewelry line.
Jewelry, okay.
And I needed to see pictures. I really needed to talk to this person about, who wears this type of jewelry. Tell me about the precious stones. I needed to get the whole feel of the business to come up with names. And so I just, as of yesterday, started coming up with names and taglines. But it really had to capture what this client was communicating to me. It's, for leisure wear and casual and not, diamonds and that sort of thing.
Expensive, trendy,
Exactly.
that
It's
kind
for
of thing.
moms going out for a girls' night out kind of thing.
Right.
So that really helped me then focus. I really need to listen very carefully to what the artisan, the writer, the baker, the owner says, because they'll tell you. I will, find that little hook. But you really have to listen for it, and then I can go from there. And what people tend to say is, "Oh, you've captured exactly what I wanted to say. That's it."
Which is great.
Yeah,
That's
that's
so
sort of one of
talented.
my more fun parts of my job. Is I
Oh,
love
yeah.
title and giving things titles, names, titles, essays, titles, books, titles, taglines. It's fun.
I think it goes back to this whole idea that being a good communicator through writing and story. Basically, you're telling a company's story. And as an entrepreneur, I would think people coming to you who want to launch a business, there's that emotional element to
Right.
the person who's going to buy. And it's really being able to tell a story, which, again, these writing skills come into play, of course, right? And all of that. So tell us a story about one of your more interesting clients.
Okay, one comes to mind.
Okay.
When I first became official, I decided to get my name out there by making donations to fundraisers, silent auctions,
Okay.
and the like, for a press release here or consultation for my services. And someone bought/won me and called me up, a local parent in town whose kids had just become, the age to go to grade school. And she said, "I've been working in this type of career. I'm from China. My dream is to open a Mandarin school to teach the language, my native tongue." And I thought, that's wonderful. Let's talk.
Let's go with that.
So it's such a great kind of hyper-local success story. She started out in her basement with 4 students, her 3 children and my nephew. We had a launch party as if we were, Time
Huge,
Warner or
right.
Coca-Cola. It was just so positive, and not only did she get American families who wanted their children to learn another language, there was this whole other market of families who had adopted Chinese children who wanted them to know more about their culture.
To be able to extend that. Right.
Needless to say, the company grew. She's in a high traffic location at Wilton Center. We had a re-grand opening with lots of traffic. The school has gone much beyond language instruction to include cooking, culture, field trips. She's an adjunct teacher around Fairfield County.
Right,
She has a
right.
camp. She now teaches adults and students of all ages. So it
she
really
really
was a dream.
expanded from
Right.
that.
It was just a
Exactly.
conversation. She won me in a silent auction. Had I not,
Right.
thought about donating that
Right.
day. And
So
then
something else for entrepreneurs might
Yes.
be doing that sort of
I really say, you know what,
promotion,
once in a
the
while,
free
a little
promotion.
pro bono can go a long way. She became a repeat client.
Right.
She gave me referrals. We developed a friendship, and it was so great being part of that.
Right,
I consider
right.
myself a team member when someone hires me. I'm on your side.
Right.
I'm on your team. Let's make it work together. And so it's great when I just see her ads in the paper or
And somebody's
drive
growing.
by and it's packed.
So that's kind of the passion behind what you do. That is
Right.
a big love of it.
It's a great payoff to
Right.
see that something you had a part in. And even my nephew now is a combo business Chinese major and spending a year abroad in China. So it influenced him as
Even
well.
your family.
That's right.
Exactly. Wow, that's incredible. Tell us a little bit about how you have a family, you run a business, you're a writer. Tell us a little bit how you balance that whole.
Well, balance is the key, certainly. I am fortunate to be in a deadline-oriented world.
Yeah. Well, is that fortunate?
I think so, because that's how I work. I'm really
Okay.
detail-oriented. I have quick turnaround time, and media has deadlines, so you have to deliver. And I think if you kind of organize your life, your world, family, children's activities, just time with your kids, driving them around, you've got to get that all organized. Of course, they're my priority. All of their clients' needs, just who needs what when. I try to be very accessible. People can text me 24/7. I try to be there for them, kind of like extended family. And then writing, I'm a big believer in, work hard and play hard. Writing feeds my soul, writing creatively. And it's one of my joys. So I decided to just take writing classes and make the time for it. And, I've just, built a lot of friendships with other writers. And so I think you have to have a balance of all things that make you happy. Do what you love and, have a little fun too. You can't just be,
All
I
in the
think,
zone.
focused on the work zone.
Exactly. That makes perfect sense. So for our viewers out there who do say, I don't have time, I have a family, I can't do this, what you're saying, I think, is organize a little bit and find those pockets of time
Carve
to do a
out the
little
time.
bit each day.
Make an appointment to dream dreams. Make an appointment on your calendar, on your phone, on your BlackBerry, even if it's half an hour to write or to fish or to whatever, paint, whatever your pension is.
And you think that the best, from what you've seen, the most successful firms that have gone from startups to growing are those where the owner had a passion for what they do?
Absolute passion and talent in that area, and a support system, and really cheerleaders such as me, and really organization. I can't stress that enough. Really I've seen too many people go out there with kind of funky names and change their mission statement a lot and their focus and their products, and you really have to, when you rush, you make mistakes, I think. So planning, organization, support, and of course the passion, because that's what is going to make it fly.
That's what gets you up every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you mean by organization as well, focus? So as not to be all over the place in your business idea?
Yes, absolutely. I think you can't be all things to all people. So if you're going to, open a spa, specialize in facials, or make, you've got to make your niche. Yeah.
Shot.
So people know you're the person, the go-to place for A, B, or C.
For that.
Because I think you just spread yourself too thin if you try that, and a lot of new business owners make that mistake because they just want to please everyone. But really know your audience. Figure out what works. Maybe, if a certain product is not selling, a certain service is not popular, shy away from that and push the things that are working.
Have you seen examples, of course not any names, but where folks didn't do it that way and maybe spread themselves too thin and the focus was here and there and let's please this person and that, where maybe it didn't work? Or?
Yeah, well what happens is I think they're just kind of spinning their wheels and they keep changing things up, and then their messaging is inconsistent. So people got to know them as one thing and one company and one service, and now they're doing something else, or they're spinning off over here. So they just spread themselves too thin, and it's just diluting their marketing message, their brand. Yeah, so I mean, my tagline is marketing your message. So the thing is, you have to stay with one message.
Right.
So it kind of hits people over the head a couple of times. So then, you're known for it, just like a commercial, Nike, just do it. These types of things stick in your head. In my logo, I have a silver pen. People say, oh, I've seen that. Where have I seen that? I know your logo.
To recognize it.
Right.
Exactly. So when we think about your business and helping people launch and grow their business, what do you think you do differently for people
to make them successful? Think that I try to really, really customize my campaigns. I come to a new client, a new situation with just kind of newfound enthusiasm, and I just want to market them at that moment. I might have 10 other things on my desk, but I'm not going to just give them some blanket, marketing plan. It's got to be right for them. So I think the personalization, it has to be customized, personal. It has to work for them, for their product, for their needs, their goals. Maybe they just want to grow a little. They've got babies at home. Maybe they just want to blow it out with a huge launch event. It has to work for them with their business and in their life.
So it sounds to me, as an entrepreneur yourself and having grown your business and doing very well, that there must be some real satisfaction to helping other people. And perhaps that's your passion, or is there a
It's funny
different
because
passion?
I grew up, my father always loved to help people find jobs. He just had this knack for it. He was like the king of the alumni interviews. The kids would come in. I just always saw him having that passion of helping people find jobs. Mine is a little bit different because I want to help people, grow their businesses or grow in their job. But there is some sort of satisfaction, like the Chinese school example. It's just great being on that, just you knew the person over coffee and they said, I really want to do this, and then it becomes a reality and you were a part of it.
Right.
Because I've always loved to write and I just launching my own business, sometimes I look at my website and I think that's pretty awesome that I did that.
You did it.
Exactly. Little boys at home at the time, and I did it, and I'm official, and my name is registered.
Right.
And it is fun. Sometimes I'll just look at my business card and I'm like, hey,
I did it. Yeah, which is inspiration for the people watching, because
you can do it.
You can do it. Exactly. That is the big message. What would you say were the biggest challenges? I mean, was it lack of time, lack of purpose, lack of
I would just think
new business?
A couple of things. A lot of things sort of, when it rains, it pours. Sometimes I'll have a lot of events during one week. I am a perfectionist. I want things to go off without a hitch. I want to hold clients' hands. I want to get there for every event an hour early to make sure everything is perfect. One event comes to mind. There was an author speaking engagement. It was scheduled for the night of the horrible Hurricane Sandy. Obviously, I have no control over inclement weather, so we rallied, rescheduled for a week later, but even then attendance was low because people still didn't have power, if you recall. It was just so horrible. So, for someone like me who likes to be quite organized, the media was all set to come. It just is out of my control. So I guess the biggest challenge is just trying to be perfect, but accepting when things are, don't go perfectly, and being flexible.
Right.
And it's just when there's a lot happening at once, when there's a lot of conflicts, I do have to prioritize. And sometimes I have to say to one client, you're all set. I made a prior commitment to be at this event, but I will send backup, or I'll make sure that they're good to go. I don't like to leave anyone hanging.
Absolutely. So there's a bit of resilience. So you're saying you're
be flexible.
A perfectionist, but at the same time you have to be resilient. And that's probably a great message for people who are watching, who are entrepreneurs.
Yes, life is not perfect. You got to roll with it and just
So you have this
regroup.
message of being organized, but there is this underlayer of also being resilient and sort of going with it.
Have a sense of humor. You got to just regroup. Life isn't perfect. The night of some massive branding launch event, your child could have the stomach bug. Things happen. You just have to roll with it and assess, and people understand. A lot of people out there with other businesses are parents, might have 2 jobs. People get it. So for the most part, I find people are understanding when you have to change.
Change things.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time, but we really should just comment on how it's changed. In terms, you've been in this industry of promoting and helping businesses market for a long time. What is different, say, since 2000?
Oh boy, social media.
Yeah,
Really, I mean, everything used to be hard copy, everything on paper. One of my jobs was marketing, videos, and they're obsolete.
Right.
So you have to be out there in that world. You've got to be on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, depending on your business.
Your audience.
Certainly Pinterest is so visual. I have an interior designer. She's all over Pinterest.
Perfect.
So you've got to keep up. You can't be archaic. You can't be a dinosaur. You got to just roll with it, learn, get a young, grandchild if you need to get you up to speed. But you've got to be part of that world and keep up with the times. And you don't have to dive in and go gangbusters, but you have to at least be at the party.
Right. So it's interesting because I think that a lot of people who are watching the show, in addition to like, oh, I don't have time, one of the things is, well, I don't even know this social media and this stuff.
Take a class. You can take a class.
Or we go back to the beginning, which is to delegate that which you don't know.
That's
so
right.
you hire someone and don't let it kind of stop you from starting.
A recent meeting I had was with a retail business owner in Westport who hired a part-time high school student who was one of these social media wizards. She said, that's not my forte, but she knew that wasn't her strength. I don't have time to do it. I'm running a business. I don't quite know what the best way is to tweet. I'm hiring this kid, and you know what? He's a dynamo. So that's a start.
That's
and then maybe one day you take a class, and then you take over your own Twitter account, for example.
So we have to wrap up, so I'll just ask, what is the next thing for Aline?
Well, I just want to keep growing, wordsmith-wise, and also in my essay writing, because both of them bring me joy and satisfaction, and I just think it's a nice balance, in addition to my family, of course.
Of course. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us and giving those tips to our audience. We appreciate it.
Terrific. I hope it helps.